My name is Robin. This is my beautiful daughter, Bree, who is 4 years old. This is my partner, Rachel. And then we have another daughter who is 8 years old named Shyla. Bree is an amazing kid. She loves music. She loves to be outside in the sunshine. She loves her sister, her family. Bree exudes happiness. Like anybody, she's not always happy, but she does appreciate so many of the little things in life. Bree also has a genetic condition called trisomy 13. In every cell of her body, she has a third of her 13th chromosome. And that affects Bree medically and cognitively in a lot of different ways. She does have different types of disabilities. She has vision loss, even though she can perceive light. She needs a little bit extra oxygen, as you can see. She is G-tube fed. She perceives and experiences the world in her own way as well. A typical day now, she wakes up with one of her night nurses. We do a lot of things to get her prepared and ready for the day, prepare her medications, make sure she's got enough oxygen in her tank for the day. We got her feed set up. And then she goes off on a school bus with her nurse, spends a whole day at school doing so many of her favorite things. When we first found out about her diagnosis, we had never heard of trisomy 13. We do what I think any parent would do in that situation. You go on Google and you type it in. The first thing you see is that the life expectancy of a child with trisomy 13 is typically 7 to 10 days or a few weeks. So that's obviously very jarring. We're seeing a lot of changes in the medical community now where with more interventions early on, we see the life expectancy grow. Because of some of those survival rates that we saw, there was a lot of an emotional journey that we had to go through. You know, you're in a lot of ways expecting your child to die because that's what you've read. Bree is at a very healthy and stable point of her life now, but she still has moments where we have admissions at sick kids quite regularly. So you're constantly worrying about her and her health and her journey.
One of the biggest challenges for me is parenting Bree in an ableist world, like in a world that's not set up for her. And of course the medical challenges, yet what's almost more challenging is when you have medical challenges for your child and you have to go through a system where there's very explicit and implicit notions given to you that your child isn't as valuable as a typical child. A lot of the times there's a really big lack of understanding of what her life means and the joys it brings. Our society values independence, right? You don't have the same value for caretaking and for sacrifice. And so the things that give me a lot of meaning to be a caretaker for Bree, because she won't ever be independent.
Anticipatory grief was something that I've had to deal with personally since Bree's diagnosis. And early on in Bree's life, that truly affected my relationship with her in a way that I regret. I spent a lot of time waiting for her to die. It was hard, honestly, like subconsciously for me to maybe connect with Bree in the way that I would have liked to. But I think how I deal with it and how to process it have changed. Some of the things that I found really helpful have been writing. To me, that's been something that I've done more recently, and it's been a way to process some of those feelings. Connecting with other families has honestly been integral to our journey. We were able to connect over different Facebook groups and different social media platforms with other families that actually had kids with trisomy 13, and we got a more real, full perspective on what their life was like. And it allowed us to envision Bree and our family in a way that was more real and more optimistic.
I think that the care that we've valued the most, and we've been so fortunate to have so many caring professionals, are those who ultimately at their core come to the table and see Bree as a valuable member of society and taking the family's needs in terms of how can they support what are our goals for her. Recognizing that when you're coming in to talk to a family in this situation, they're very likely to have gone through traumatic situations. So sometimes families are going to be coming in a place where, yeah, they're not doing well, and being able to see that not as like a fault of anyone, but that this is a family who's dealing with, you know, immense challenge, trauma, and experiences we have had where it's very clear that they have an assumption about Bree's life and Bree's quality of life based on her disability, and that is very painful as a parent to go through. I might not in those moments say these things, but when I've had to think about it over the years and actually, you know, interrogate that view, you know, I honestly sometimes think, I feel like Bree's quality of life is better than mine. Like, Bree gets to wake up every day and be cared for and loved and live in the moment and experience joy and not have to maybe like deal with some of the things that I have to deal with that can be a struggle. So really just in meeting the family where they're at, because I think we've always been very clear of how we view Bree, and it can be very hard when you sense that others are not feeling that same way. You feel a lack of trust, quite honestly. You want to be able to trust the people that are there caring for your child, and if you sense that, you know, those assumptions are there, you're not going to feel safe. I think that, like, when we're thinking about systems and supporting a kid like Bree, you know, we're talking about health systems, education systems, I mean, even just transportation systems, right? In the sense of a world, again, that's not set up for a child like Bree, things can be more accessible, or those challenges can be mitigated. I think that there's a lot of administrative burden in systems that falls on parents, and that is something that, I mean, I'm not saying it's an easy fix, but that's fixable. I shouldn't have to fill out 20 different papers from 20 different things to access the 20 different things that Bree needs. And I think that's where having people with lived experience at the table, and whatever that table may be, practitioner training, like navigation of services, whatever it may be, whatever level of system, like that lived experience voice is going to give that perspective. I would describe myself as a very like A-type person, in the sense of, you know, wanting to have things planned, organized, routines. In a way, I can kind of thrive in the environment of Bree because there is a lot of structure, routine, etc. But there's also so many unknowns, so many things I can't control. And I think that Bree has really given me this gift of letting go of a little bit of that, living more in the moment, recognizing simple joys, because that's how she lives her life. When you get that perspective, it's hard to put into words how much that changes you. It's just the deep joy and gratitude that I can have in my life in being able to parent Bree.
She gives so much love to the world. You can see it in her smile. It's a genuine happiness and joy that she feels, and that's infectious. She's brought our family closer together in so many different ways. She has taught us, you know, without intentionally teaching us, the importance of, again, like living in the moment.